Hello, this is Joanna from Perfectly Creative for the June Stamp Around UK video hop. This month's theme is in colours. So we have 5 new in colours for 2023 to 2025. We have Wild Wheat, Moody Mauve, Boho Blue, Copper Clay and Pebbled Path. They're all beautiful colours and I've really I didn't think I would like them as much as I do, but they've really grown on me. So for today I'm going to be using Boho Blue and a couple of stamp sets, which the first one is Artistically Inked, which has been a carryover for the last couple of catalogues, I believe. But it's still one of my favourites, and I haven't used it for a while, so I decided that I would pull it out. Mainly I'm going to be using this stamp here for a bit of a background, and my second stamp set is going to be Dainty Delight, because I want to try and keep it simple and let the colours do the talking. So let's get cracking. As you can see, I've got my Stamper Artist out, which I know for those of you that don't know, this has been retired. There are obviously, if you're lucky enough to own one, then you obviously enjoy and you can recreate this. But there are other stamp positioner tools out on the market, but I do love this one just because you can add extra plates and things to it and can set things up so easily. So as you can see on here, you can see my outline stamp, so I know where I'm going to stamp. I've taken the mat out so you can get a rubber mat, but as this is a cling stamp, I don't need that section in. So I'll just put that to one side for a moment whilst I do my background. So like I said, I'm going to be using Boho Blue. And what I've pulled out is some of the 2023-2025 in colour DSP, which has 4 designs and you get 4 of each. So this one's got lovely little hearts on it, or the little stripe on the background. There are others that, if I can just reach and get it, you have one that's got a bigger polka dot, which is just fabulous, with a thicker stripe on the back. And obviously you get it in all the in colours. So it's a nice pack. It was quite a substantial pack, but as you can see, I've used quite a lot of mine, so I don't have much left. So I'll need to buy some more. But today I thought I'd use the hearts rather than the lines. So that is, and this is just a standard matting layer. Let me just move a few things out of the way. This is just a standard matting layer. So this is a normal card base. Well, a normal card base for myself, which is a C6 in the UK. So that's the 10.5 centimetres by 14.85 it works out as. But basically it's a full size of A4 scored in half. At about 14.85 and then trimmed lengthways to create a tent card at 10.5 centimetres. So then this measures 14.5 centimetres by 10.1, which roughly works out to be about 4 inches. So I'm just going to stick this down flat because that's as much as we're going to be doing with this layer. So here we go. I've not folded that quite straight. So I will adjust it ever so slightly with my bone folder. So my bone folder's seen better days, but it does do a lot of hard work. So there we go. Okay, and that Boho Blue is just gorgeous. So for my first layer, so this is the stamp from Artistically Inked, and using Boho Blue, I'm just going to randomly stamp on the background. It's totally up to you. First generation, second generation, just to create that background. So it's a watercolor effect without having to actually do any watercoloring. It's a great way to get a bit of a nice effect in the background. So as I say, it's going to be a nice, quick, simple card, but still very effective. So I will layer this on a piece of boho blue, which I may need to trim that down ever so slightly. But first things first, I'm going to bring my Stamper Artist back in. And I'm going to bring in a second layer. And this measures, let me just check for you. So this is 9.1 centimetres by 13.5 centimetres. And I have already marked in pink Sharpie where I roughly want this to sit. Very strong magnets on this. So, and I'm just using the grid lines just to get a straight line. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Extremely strong magnets. But I'm also going to put this on. So I want to get this roughly in the center. And again, extremely strong magnets. So then I'm going to do a bit of stamping over both pieces at the same time. And the beauty of this being on the Stamper Artist is that if it doesn't quite stamp right the first time, I can always go back in. So I'm just stamping in Memento black. So then I get both pieces. And I think I'm just going to do that one more time just to get this a tad darker, but not too much. So just lightly tapping. And I think rather than trim this piece down, there we go. So I can take this piece out the way and I'll just stamp the remaining ink, so it's just a faint outline. There we go. I can put that to one side. Now, these two pieces are exactly the same size, which isn't ideal. So this size measures 5.9 centimetres by 9.3. So what I might actually do is ever so carefully just take a sliver so I might just take this down to 9. I'm taking it off the sides that I haven't stamped. What did I say that measures? 5.9. Yeah, 5.9. So we'll do 5.6. So I've taken just 3 millimeters off either side. So that just to give just a tiny hint of a border. Yeah, perfect. So now I've stamped that piece, I'm going to emboss it. And obviously you emboss it after you've stamped it, otherwise it won't stamp flat. And I'm using one of our new online exclusives, Basics 3D embossing folders. And I love this one because it's like a linen. I think this is probably one of my new favourites. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line it up with the black line at the bottom there. Just like so. And then just very quickly off camera, I'm just going to quickly emboss this. It is a 3D, actually, it is a 3D embossing folder. Let me bring this big. So it's base plate plus the plate number 4. I'll just quickly run this through. Just to give it a little bit of texture in the back. Let me move this out of the way. And it just creates this gorgeous, gorgeous texture. I love it. Now, I have made some of these in different colours and just add a little bit of interest. I'm just going to blend some ink. So I'm just loading the brush up and just tapping it off in the lid, because then I can reuse that if I want to do some watercolouring. This is just beautiful. Really highlights the texture on the embossing folder. There. And then, I'm not sure about anybody else, but I just clean my brush off. Doesn't really matter because I do have a few of them that I like to use. I like to keep the colours. So then just very simply I'm going to layer these up. So first things first, I'm just going to adhere this flat to the piece of boho blue. Just with a tiny border. I'm sure I'll try and get it as equal as possible. And then I'm going to also stick this flat. I mean, you could actually use that side. I mean, it's just beautiful. And it's really just like a linen stitch. I'm using seal, which I don't, yeah, stamping seal, which I don't normally use, but I just find it so easy. Just try and get an even border. And then for this layer, I'm going to use some dimensionals. I'm going to use some of the large ones, which I don't normally like to waste, but you don't want a saggy middle. There. So I did go ahead and prep some of this beforehand, as you can see. Oh, nearly upside down. So, and then, so you can see obviously where your image ended. And it's just a case of lining it back up. Now, so I did do a bit of prep work beforehand, and I have already, she says, frantically looking for it, stamped and fussy cut my sentiment. Here we are. So I chose the Celebrate You from the Dainty Delight stamp set, and I have stamped it, if you can see that, I've stamped it in Pebbled Path because I just thought it was just a nice subtle colour, that, and it's not as dark as the black. It's just a little bit softer, which I quite like against the blue. And I am going to add some from our Baker's Twine Essentials pack. just going to add, could do white, or can indeed do a little bit of basic grey. Not basic grey, grey granite. So I'm just going to do a little bow. Excuse my neighbour if you can hear her shouting at the dogs. They're getting a little bit excited as it's walkies time. And if you have a dog and I've just set them off, I do apologise. Okay. So I'll trim the tails in a minute. So with a glue dot, excuse me reaching, with a glue dot, I'm going to adhere this just there underneath the corner. And then with a little bit of glue, and I might just add a tiny bit of dimensional. So I might just trim just ever so slightly, slither. So I'm sitting here, and for those of us in the UK, we've had some nice weather lately. I'm just going to add it, and whilst today has been a bit cloudier, it has been lovely, and now all I can smell are people lighting up their barbecues. It just makes me so hungry. Right, so and I've just added a little bit of wet glue for the rest of it, and then I'm just going to what I'm using, and what I'm actually doing is I'm using the dimensional just to find the edge, and then I can stick that down like so. And now we can pick out some colours. I've got these beautiful in colour dots, which as you can see I've used over half a pack already, and this is actually my second pack, so I've used these quite a lot. And as we're doing boho blue, I might as well stick with the boho blue. So I'll go with one down here, and another one just here, and then a little one maybe, because I like to do it in threes in that flower there. And that is my card. Now I haven't done the inside, so I could, as I have a layer already here, and as we have the stamp set already available, I can bring this back in. And well, actually, do you know, I think actually what I'll do is I'll stamp the smaller flower from the Dainty Delight, because it is a beautiful stamp set. So this one, or should we do that one? That one's pretty. Let's do that one, because it would be rude not to. Excuse the state of my blocks, I really do need to give them a wash. And this time I think I will stamp it in Pebbled Path. This is a very juicy ink pad, so I'm just going to see, I could get away with that. Okay. Now, don't make the mistake of stamping and then automatically going to do a second generation, because as you can see, I was slightly off there, and that would mean that I would get a dark spot here where I'm on my second generation. So I'll just say, ask me how I know. And maybe, because now we're on it, some of these little flowers, which are just so cute. This one here, just here, it's beautiful. And I'll do those in boho blue. Yeah, just a little bit of interest for the inside. Now we could add another sentiment. Celebrate you, sending love during this season of growth. The best is yet to come. But I think I might just leave it like that. I quite like having space to write. So she says, making sure, because I didn't actually check. Yeah, it is. So I've started using seal when I'm using basic white, because sometimes I find that you can see the glue or the ridges of glue through. I'm going to do this the other way around. You can see the ridges of glue through the paper sometimes, so I'm just going to, there we go. There, now we're finished. And we'll trim those tails. What do you think? Do you like it? Just with that added extra little bit of detail. So I'll show you the other ones I've been doing. So I have a stash of them somewhere. Let me just dig them out for you. So using a similar sort of process, I have made quite a few actually. So this is Moody Mauve, which I have to say I think is probably one of my favourites, and I use the white twine from the Basics Essential. Let me make some space here. So this is the one we've just done, and then this is it in Pebbled Path, which again is a lovely soft grey. It's beautiful. It's a very sepia type tone. And then Copper Clay, and you can see I've used the different DSP, the reverse side on the back. And this is Wild Wheat, which is very golden. And I've used that DSP but in a different direction. You can see with the vertical stripes. I wasn't a lover of Wild Wheat, but since I've started using it, it's beautiful. I'll say it goes really well with Blackberry Bliss. It gives a very golden tone. That's another one in Moody Mauve, because I did this one with the deckled rectangle die, but without the layer behind. There's another one for there, and with a Pebbled Path back. No, Smoky Slate card base. And then just for something a little bit more simple, I did that one, Moody Mauve, but obviously with the boho blue, but again using the deckled rectangle, but just again kept it very simple, stamped at the bottom. And then even more simplified, I cut from the deckled rectangle that I cut the negative that was left behind I just used to blend some boho blue and then stamped with the Dainty Delight again, and then obviously just stamped at the bottom and kept it very simple. So I hope you, and then obviously this is the one we've done today, so you can see how you can really step it up using a similar design. So let me know which one's your favourite. Have you got a favourite in colour? Do let me know. And please do go and check out everyone else in the video hop. They've made some amazing projects and I can't wait to see what everybody thinks. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate that. And if you haven't already, I'd really love you to subscribe down at the bottom right and hit the little bell so you get notifications when my videos go live. Until next time, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.